Hi, I'm Nicole Franklin. I'm a registered dietitian here with American Oncology Network. Today we are in the kitchen. We're going to be making an avocado salad. So it's a creative way to add some vegetables, and it's really a take on a deconstructed guacamole. So I'm going to start with my vinaigrette. It's a homemade dressing. Once you get in the habit of making it, you'll find these are one of the best ways to add flavor. And it's really easy once you start keeping all your ingredients kind of on hand. So I've got in here 3 tablespoons of lime juice. Now I didn't have time to do a fresh lime, so I have one of the containers and it's going to work just fine. So if you don't have it fresh, you can keep it on hand. I'm going to add to that 2 tablespoons of oil. Now the recipe calls for avocado oil, which you could absolutely do. I just didn't have it. So I'm doing olive oil. It's going to be just a fine substitute. So from there, that is a lot of tart, right? We have the lime juice, and we want to kind of cut that just a bit. So we're going to cut it with some honey. So I just have 2.5 teaspoons in here of honey. That's going to go in. And this is a point where if you don't like the sweetness or you're sensitive to it or you want it to be tartar or sweeter, it's the perfect place to just kind of change it up to be your liking. So from there, one of my favorite tricks is to take a fresh clove of garlic. So it's fresh garlic, and I just take a microplane grater, and I literally just hold it right over here, and I just zest it in. When you do it with the microplane, what I really like is you get the garlic flavor, but you're not having to crunch down on any actual garlic pieces. Because if you look, see how fine almost like a puree that is. It'll mix in there just fine. You'll have the taste, but you won't necessarily be feeling like you're chomping down on the garlic. So here we're gonna kind of finish this off. I've got 1 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of cumin. So I'm going to add that in. Again, this is kind of the spot where if you don't necessarily, if you're very, very sensitive to salt, back up a little bit on it. I'm going to also add in here some of my fresh black pepper. So I'm just going to grate some fresh pepper in here. And that's all there really is to this dressing. Once you get in the habit, I just kind of whisk it up. And when I make dressing, I always make it in this container. And if you notice, it's got the little pour spout, so it makes it really, really easy to pour over any salad that you're doing. But that's all there is to it here. So I'm just going to set it aside, and I'm going to assemble. So whenever I'm assembling kind of a marinated type salad, I always like to do it where there's a lid, so I can just take it wherever I need to go. First thing I'm going to do, if you wanted spice, you could do a jalapeno. Now I decided on this one, I'm going to back up a little bit on the spice. So I'm just going to do 1/3 cup of red onion. I like the red onion. It's a little bit of a spice, so it gives it a little bit of a kick. And since I am not doing my jalapeno, I'm just going to add some red peppers. I just love the way red peppers taste. You could also, depending on how you like it, you could add more, you could add less. We're also going to add, this is kind of our surprise ingredient. We're going to do some cucumber. So this is an English cucumber. I seeded it and I just cut it pretty fine. Again, I'm trying to make sure all my pieces are about the same size. So if you see, that's about what I cut. A great way to use some of your produce that's in season. And this is another little tip. Whenever I have my avocado, or my cucumber, I used about half. So I want half of a cucumber. And I'm going to save my other half, and I'm going to use it with, do a pasta salad or a more traditional type salad. But go ahead and you've prepped it once, and you can use it multiple times. So to this, I am going to be adding 1/4 cup of fresh cilantro, and I just chopped it. Now wash it, again, wash it and then chop it. Makes a big difference. Some folks are very sensitive to it though. So if you're sensitive to it or you want to, kind of do a little bit less, I think that's fine. We're going to do let's see here, 3/4 a cup of cherry tomatoes, and I just kind of quartered them. Again, great way to use up all of your, you know, fresh produce. Now the tomatoes are going to get a little soggy. So if you were making this ahead of time and you thought, I really needed to kind of go back to that idea of the red pepper, right? You could do that as a substitute instead of the tomatoes. And then we're gonna just kind of go to this kind of the star of our salad, the avocado. So I want to tell you how I do avocado. First thing I do is this is when you look for ripe avocado, it's going to be kind of firm to the touch. I bought these about 3 days ahead, and they were not ripe, and I just left them on the counter. And today, this is I think day 3 or day 4, and they're just about perfect. Always wash it though. Even though you're not going to actually eat this skin, your knife is going to go through it. So we're going to wash it. I've already washed this one. What I do is I take my knife and I'm just going to go all the way around it, right? We're just kind of cutting all the way, and I just move the avocado all the way around it. And it kind of comes open. And what you can do is I use the knife just to kind of pop that seed right out like that. So you've got your avocado. I keep it in the skin. It's up to you how you want to do it. I just kind of go ahead and score like this. And I just do whatever size cut I want, be it a slice, or in this case, I did cubes. And then I take my spoon and I literally just go around the edge of it, and it just scoops right out like that. So I made some ahead of time. I found mini avocados, so instead of doing 2 full, I did 4 minis. And notice on here what I did is I put down some saran wrap, and I just kind of packed it, because when you have an avocado, if it's exposed to air, it's going to kind of do that sort of turning brown. And I just poured a little bit of lime juice over it as well. And again, the lime is going to help it from the turn, and then keeping that air, keeping it away from air is going to help it. So I did, again, I have 4 mini avocados. The recipe calls for 2 full avocados. So that's in here. And all I'm going to do to that is I'm just going to kind of mix that dressing one more time. And I'm just going to pour it straight over it. And that, I'm going to stir it. If you're not serving it immediately, one thing you can do is kind of pull back that little trick I was telling you about with the plastic wrap, right? Go ahead and pull that in. Keep the plastic wrap on there, kind of press it down. I can if you decided you wanted to make it almost like a salsa, you could do that. You could also just as easily pair it with a really nice lean protein, be it salmon, chicken, that kind of thing. Again, you can see all the colors in there. You've got the fiber from the avocado. You've got the good monounsaturated fat. It's a very versatile thing. You got the pretty color from the onions and the cilantro. So I hope this is something that you'll enjoy making. It's a great way to add those fruits and vegetables. Thank you.